phone number?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you get a chance. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
$30 seconds. $15. It is DCTF Live. It's an internet show. We're still working on the slogan. My name is Greg Tepper, managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. I'm sitting here. Sitting there is Max Thompson. Hey, Max. That was pretty good.
We're still, it's still in beta.
Out the kinks.
It's still in beta. You know?
Sure.
Big show today. A little bit later, we're going to be joined by Marque head coach Mike Jackson.
Excited about this.
Yeah.
Love Marque.
And he's been through a lot.
That
program's been through a lot. So I'm excited to talk to him and kind of get his side of it. I should mention that it's Wednesday, February 10th, 2016, episode number 71. And I don't believe we have a number for that. No, no, it's a Sam Freeman episode. I'm sorry.
Woo!
Sam Freeman episode. We will not have one tomorrow, so I'll need to figure that out.
What are you going to do?
It's a Sam Freeman episode. I'll figure something out. I've got plans. Yeah. I know. I've got plans. It's going to be fun. So we are going to talk a little bit about going to talk with Marque head coach Mike Jackson in a bit, and then we're going to talk about the UIL's state title games and the bath they took by moving it to to Reliant Stadium or NRG Stadium in Houston. We'll talk about all that. So I got a haircut. If you couldn't tell on the show, here you go. I got a haircut.
Right.
How often, and we've talked about this, you are a proud member of the 1%. And so
Really?
So you spend
the 1%.
You spend like
really
$900 on a haircut. How often do you get your hair cut?
Well, how often should I get my hair cut? Or how often do I actually do
these
it?
two different
They're
questions?
two different things, because really, if I was a responsible adult, it would be like every 5 weeks before it gets out of control. But what happens is at 5.5, 6 weeks, I go, oh crap, my hair is getting really long, and then I call, and there are no openings for like the only times that I'm available, and then I end up getting my hair cut at like 7.5 weeks when it's just barely presentable.
So first of all, there's a big difference between you and I. You make a hair appointment.
Right there, I
walk into.
I have someone I trust. I believe in them.
Even here?
Yes. I have someone I trust who doesn't screw it up ever. And yeah, I don't want to. I can't just walk in somewhere. I don't. It's not. I can't get a number 2 like you.
See,
over there.
That's the thing. I have a very. First of all, let's back up a second. I realize I'm starting to go gray. It's happening along the sides. My wife is very fond of pointing that out.
Yes.
And it gets the more that my hair grows out, the more it becomes evident that I'm starting to go gray.
Yes.
But I also am rather proud. I got a decent head of hair.
Sure. It's all there, man.
It's all there. It's not going anywhere. And you and I, you're 150. I'm 29. I'll turn 30 in June.
I'm 150.
Is that right? Do I have that?
Yeah.
I know you're older than I am.
Random selection. Yeah.
I know you're older than I am, but we've got friends who we can tell it's starting to go.
Yeah. Well, actually, my hair is thinning. It has been thinning over time, but I have aggressively fought that.
Okay.
With all of the modern techniques.
See, I'm just gonna let it go, and if it starts going gray, that's okay. But I don't think, knock on wood,
right.
Really hope, at least I have not shown signs of losing my hair yet.
Yeah. Okay. I started showing signs at 19.
Goo.
So I attacked it aggressively then and basically fought off the years when I would have lost the most of it. And so now it's just a matter of keeping it much longer up here than over here.
Right.
And we're good, which, again, goes back to having someone I know and trust who understands.
I guess that's true. So for me,
I don't have the thick hair you do.
I do. I've got really thick hair, and so I can go to anywhere, and just like I'll drop into the Fantastic Sam's and just be like, hey, a 2 on the side, and then as short as you can on top.
Right.
In my halcyon days, in my younger days,
all right,
I'd rock the 1 on the side.
Oh man. Edgy.
I've even been known to rock the 0 on the side. That's when I was feeling real fat and sassy.
Ew.
So,
rebel without a cause.
We are DCTF Live. We are here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. We will be here tomorrow, and we'll have a guest host on Friday.
We will.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. I know who it is. We won't reveal it until tomorrow.
We're not going to reveal it? Okay.
We won't reveal it until
All right.
tomorrow. But we're very excited about who's
We're
coming.
very excited about our Friday guest host.
I can't believe that he would take time away from the campaign trail to come in and host it. It's amazing.
I know. It's crazy.
It's amazing. That
Your next president.
Yes. Anyway, so we've got on the TV right now. We've got TVs here in the DCTF office.
Yes.
It's actually not right now. It's commercial.
I don't believe I have a camera angle that will show our TVs right now.
We got 2 TVs up there. Normally on my TV, I'll rock an episode of The Simpsons.
Yep.
As I'm wont to do.
Yep.
And you have done a good job of DVRing the 2015 state title games.
I feel this is important. I like reliving all the games.
Yeah. So right now we got Franklin and Wascomon, the 3A Division I state
We
title
also
game.
have a YouTube channel that I've built of all the archive games on YouTube. So games like back to the 80s. We've got some Permian games on our YouTube channel.
Fantastic.
It's pretty fun.
So that brings up the idea. And there's Erin Hardigan. Hey, Erin. She looks like a lumberjack.
Yeah, that's a very
she got the lumberjack shirt on.
Retro
Seattle, you guys can't see it. Yeah,
modern look.
Anyway, she's gonna be thrilled that I said that.
Yeah.
So those games were played at NRG Stadium in Houston.
Right.
It was the first time since the UIL has done the central site state title games, which first happened, I believe, in 2010. It's the first time that they've done it somewhere other than AT&T Stadium.
Right.
So it moves to NRG Stadium. We don't particularly know. It's a chicken and an egg situation, but at some point, the NFL schedule came out, and the Cowboys had a Saturday night game against the Jets at home on the Saturday of state title game weekend, which then, I don't know if this was a planned move by the UIL or not, but that necessitated a move away from AT&T Stadium.
Right.
Which brought it to NRG Stadium in Houston.
Yes.
And at the time, we were like, oh, okay, spread out a little bit. Arlington's had a chance to have it for the past five years. Let's give another part of the state an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think it is overstating it to say that the move to NRG Stadium was not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. Not great.
We now have more details courtesy of our friend Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News, who got a hold.
And I do feel like before we go into these, little tirades about the games in Houston, it's always important to note that everyone we ran into was busting their butt to do a good job.
Sure. People
at NRG were great. The people of Houston were awesome. However, with that disclaimer out of the way, go forth, young man, and lay it out.
It's a numbers game, okay?
Yeah.
We now have more new. First of all, we knew that it was a big step back.
Right.
Because of the attendance.
Right.
We knew that, okay? In 2014 at AT&T Stadium in Arlington.
Yep.
The UIL brought in 250,652 people. Mm-hmm. 250,000 people went to the state title games at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, okay? Over the 3 days.
All right.
In 2015, 156,413.
For a difference of
94,509 fewer people.
That's a lot.
Let me Google something real quick.
A tradition like no other. DCTF Live, Greg live Googling.
Yes, I'm Googling something. I've got to look this up because I'm a big fan of percentage change. I think that's a fun statistic. So let me do that. If you're going from 250,652 down to 156,413. Any guesses?
30%? I don't know.
Oh, I put in a comment. I can't do that.
I feel like I need some Greg Googling music,
That is a 37.5% drop.
Hey, I was pretty close.
37.5% drop in attendance.
Look at the big brain on Brad.
And don't tell me that the UIL's not paying attention to the attendance numbers. They know.
Yeah.
And we could tell when we were there that the attendance was noticeably smaller.
Right.
Okay? And now we have even more details about why it was a bad deal for the UIL. We have even more details. That in 2014, the UIL paid $150,000 for the 4 days at AT&T Stadium. The 3 days that you're used to, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, plus the Saturday that they had the six-man state championship games.
Not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal.
Turns out.
For the 3 days, not including the six-man state championship games at NRG Stadium, NRG Stadium charged the UIL $495,000. They charged them more than 3 times what AT&T Stadium charged them for one fewer day. For a fewer day. Because I think, first of all, this is a supply and demand based economy, and the NRG Stadium knew they had UIL over a barrel.
Yeah.
They knew that they could charge them whatever they wanted. And
so they interesting strategy if you want it to ever come back, by the way.
So from the attendance to now the usage fees, we know that the state championship games at NRG Stadium in Houston were a bad move for the UIL.
Right.
That's not up for debate anymore.
No.
That has been settled.
Yeah.
State title games in Houston in 2015 was a bad deal for the UIL. So, the question becomes, where do we go from here? What does the UIL do from here? I think it's worth mentioning that we need to think about the fact that we want to have it spread out, right? We want to have it spread out. That we don't want it only to be at AT&T Stadium, okay? We want it to be all across the state because it is a Texan tradition like no other.
Right.
We also need to realize a couple of things. One, AT&T Stadium in Arlington is a draw itself.
Yeah.
People want to go to that stadium. And as nice as NRG Stadium is, and as nice as the Alamo Dome is, it doesn't have the same drawing power as AT&T Stadium. That's just the bottom line of it.
Yeah.
This isn't a real crazy opinion. It's just the truth of it. So what do you do? I think, if you make me king of the world,
right,
and I can make it, I go with an ABAC situation.
Okay.
Where
right,
every other year the title games are at AT&T Stadium in Arlington.
Right.
And then you're going to rotate it. You would go AT&T Stadium in Arlington, NRG Stadium in Houston. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Alamo Dome. Because the other thing is it needs to be indoors.
Yes, no question.
Because if it needs to be indoors on turf. Because if you're going to have 10 games,
right,
you don't want weather to play a factor, and you cannot have natural
right,
grass. That will get torn up in one game.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best, fairest solution. The other thing about it that I think that people don't realize, DFW and AT&T Stadium is actually relatively central when you
right,
talk about the state.
Right.
You know? Yes, if a team from El Paso makes it to the title game, they're driving regardless. The game could
right,
be anywhere, and it would be a long way.
Right.
But AT&T Stadium is relatively centralized.
Right.
San Antonio, also relatively centralized.
Yeah.
Houston is not. Houston's in the southeast corner of the state.
Yeah,
and
hard
so
to
when you
argue.
talk about Canadian,
Right.
now that's an extreme example, but when you talk about
Sure.
Canadian making that travel, that's a long, long, long way.
Right.
So I think that the ABAC idea is what I would go with. I would go with AT&T Stadium followed by NRG Stadium, because I think that you want to balance spreading it out with the fact that you're going to do better at AT&T Stadium in Arlington than you're going to do anywhere else.
Right.
So
That's reasonable.
it was not great for the UIL there, according to Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News and the records obtained by the Dallas Morning News. Just not great. Not great. Anyway, we are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, and you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see our fine work at TexasFootball.com. I have a piece up on TexasFootball.com right now. 10 games from the 2015 Texas high school football season that actually happened.
And they're really awesome.
They're really
It's
crazy.
a really fun article.
We go from a game that was 101 to 99. It actually happened. We had a game that was 3-0. We had everything in between. We had a 4 overtime game. We had a 5 overtime game. We had all sorts of crazy stuff. So, one guy who's had a bit of a year. Is down in Lamarque, down in the greater Houston area. Lamarque's been through a lot. If you haven't been following the story, Lamarque ISD was absorbed by Texas City ISD, leaving the fate of Lamarque High School kind of in doubt. And the guy at the center of it, the guy who is probably, I think, glad that the whole situation is over, he joins us now. It's the head coach of the Lamarque Cougars. It is Coach Mike Jackson. Coach Jackson, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, good to be here. Good to talk to you again.
I guess from a very basic perspective, considering everything that's happened with Lamarque ISD in the past 2 years, what has this time been like for you?
Greg, it's first of all, it's been a lot longer than 2 years. I've been here 5 years, and you could see it slowly heading that way with the monetary issues, and I know by my second year here in 2012, we were really running into money issues, and there were some major problems. But it really, at that point, we had the numbers up. I think 2012, we were running 4 teams. That was when we had dropped down to 3A in the old 3A. It really wasn't hitting us. In 2013, it started affecting the football program, and you saw our numbers drop, and the enrollment in the school and the district was going down. And this last 3 years has really, I wouldn't wish this upon anybody, and especially the last year. The last 52 weeks that our kids went through from February 6th last year, when they made the announcement that the district was going to be closing, until pretty much this last 10 days. About 10 days ago, I was confirmed that I was staying on as coach by the school board at Texas City ISD. That whole time, it was just a complete period of uncertainty, and the saddest thing really was our kids really couldn't concentrate on football. They had to grow up real fast and worry about things that were out of their control, which was a shame to see.
One of the most bizarre situations that we've seen in quite a long time is that here you are, the coach at Marque, and you have been there for 5 years, and you've been doing great things. Marque has been, really strong under you, and yet here you go, without losing your job gets posted, as is what has to happen when something like this happens with Texas City ISD absorbing Marque ISD. For you, what was that time like for you, where you have this job that you've been doing a good job at, and yet they're all of a sudden saying, "Oh, well, we're going to see what else is out there"?
I think anybody that goes into coaching, Greg, I always joke and say, you can write your own book, and when my career's finished and I write my book, the Marque chapter is definitely going to be an interesting read. And I guess I can cross off my bucket list, apply for the same job twice, and get the same job twice. The best way, I don't know if it's the best way. The way I handled that was, all you could do was let your record speak for itself and hope that was enough. And, I've communicated with you over the years. Marque has a great history and a storied history. And all that being said, I'm not sure, even with the 5 state championships and the 10 state titles, I don't know that the men surrounding me for the last 5 years, and it's been a revolving door, and I can't fault anybody for that. I mean, people have families to feed, and you want to be in a stable situation and further your career as a coach and all those things. All I did, Greg, was we're 50-14 in those 5 years, and I believe our district record's 21-1. And I know all these numbers because when you have to reapply for your job, you make it your point to know all these numbers. I'm very proud of the job that the kids have done and that the men have done that have come through here. I've had some really good coaches around me, and quite honestly, in the last couple of years, we've seen those guys go on to either take coordinator jobs or head jobs, and again, I can't fault anybody, especially in the last year. I mean, this last year, I would not wish this scenario upon any adult, any child. Just an example of it, Greg. We're playing in by district, and the principal comes to me at halftime. We're walking in to make halftime adjustments, and tells me that the TEA has officially denied the appeal, and Marque's going to be closing. So instead of dealing with your halftime football adjustments, we're dealing with, in a playoff game, breaking the news to the kids because they already know, because people all in the stadium have their smartphones and have picked up the news. So I've had to deal, and not only me, the kids and the men working with the program, we've had to deal with some extraneous things that I never would have thought in my life that I would deal with as a head football coach or athletic director. But I've also tried to look at it as a learning experience, and hopefully it's made me a better coach and a better leader.
You mentioned the players. I imagine that they're going through a lot as well, where they're saying, okay, is my school even going to be there next year? What did you tell your kids to balance that uncertainty with the fact that, oh, yeah, you need to go out there and win some football games?
Well, I mean, when it first came out last February, the first thing I did that day in athletics, and I've told people this, I'll remember February 6, 2015 for the rest of my life. And I could sit here and tell you it doesn't affect me and it doesn't scar you a little bit, but I'd be lying. And the men that do the job that we do, we're silly enough to take this really, really seriously and think it matters. And, so when something like that happens to something you put so much time in at that point, 4+ years, it shakes you to the core. What I did was walk in athletics, and that first Friday, I told the kids, if you need to go to another school, I completely understand it. And I told my coaches the same thing, and it hurts. It physically pains you to see something that you put so much time into rip apart, and you don't have any control over it. And then, and you can imagine just being tired of the phone ringing and text and what's going to happen and how many times you're going to answer that. And so that whole year, the last off season was the hardest off season, obviously, in my career. And you're trying to hold it together, and it was like you're in a rowboat with a bunch of holes in the floor, and you're trying to plug this hole and another hole would spring up, and it just you never could seem like focus on football. And, the biggest challenge was obviously losing some really good coaches that I normally wouldn't have lost, and then trying to hold your kids together. And it's a situation where, you want to keep them, and you're selfish a little bit. You want to keep good players here, but you also have to be sensitive to the fact that parents have to make decisions. And if they felt like it was in the best interest of their child to go somewhere else, far be it for me to try to dissuade them or stop that. So, it was a scary situation. And to be quite honest, I mean, I looked at leaving, and the reason I didn't leave was it got to the point where you look around and these seniors didn't ask for this, and it's not their fault. And it was a good group of kids. So, it was a very emotional. I've had better 1-loss records. We were 9-3 last year. That's not by any means a great year for us. That's not, but given the circumstances and given the fact that, when we started the year, we were playing with 3A Division I numbers, which is what we'll be next year. And, our first 5 games were, I think the enrollment of our first 5 opponents was 1,900, 4,000, 1,200 and 1,500. And that's kids go out and they're Lamarque, Greg. They don't know any better. They just, and I mean that in the most complimentary way I can. They just put the blinders on Friday night and go play. And I have a lot of respect for those kids that stayed. And I kind of bet on my kids and bet on me this year. That we said all year, everybody knows this isn't the same Lamarque, and everybody on our schedule was ready to inflict some payback for all those years of Lamarque getting after you. And I think our kids acquitted themselves very well. I mean, you always want to win 1 more game or 2 more games or go as far as you can. But I know when that season was over, those kids just laid on the turf exhausted, and it was physical, but it was also just the mental grind of it seemed like always having to get over that hump and worry about what TEA was doing or would there be a school or the whole thing. So it's made me grow up a lot, and it certainly, it's not something I wish upon them, but it certainly made our kids, especially our seniors, grow up and deal with some real world things.
We're talking with Mike Jackson, the head coach of the Lamarque Cougars here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation at #DCTF Live. One of those seniors, Amiel Fleming, a big defensive tackle, signs with Houston, a guy who's going to go and join Tom Herman's squad, and a lot of great defensive linemen heading there. For Cougar fans who are excited about Fleming coming in, what can you tell them about the player that they're going to get?
I mean, shoot, he's already had a great career before he even starts. I think Paul Wall shouted out to him on Twitter. I mean, once you get Paul Wall shouting out to you, I mean, where does it go from there?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you might as well just quit. I mean,
yeah,
it's never getting any better from there.
There you go. So, Emil is, Tom's done a great job recruiting, obviously, and he wouldn't be there if he didn't have some natural ability. That being said, he knows this. Hey, the recruits that they're going to bring in, especially from the time he committed in August till next year and the next year, this isn't the end of the road, man. This is just the start. He better. He brought his workout packet that they send to all the recruits, and was showing it to me yesterday. And in my office, I have a big collage made of one of my kids, Mike Brockers, that he's a starting defensive tackle for I was going to say St. Louis Rams. I guess it's the Los Angeles Rams now. But I just remember I told Emil the story of, when LSU sent Mike that packet, I couldn't kick Mike out of the weight room. I mean, he was just determined he was going to go to LSU, and if they were going to redshirt him, boy, it was going to be a hard decision for him. And they ended up redshirting him, but, he ended up doing all the good and can probably buy you, me, and everybody else in Harris County 10 times over with all the money he's making. So if Emil has that work ethic and will get after it, it's going to be hard. I mean, they're getting some good players in there, but I think he'll do well as long as he stays grounded and takes care of his books and realizes he's going to have to compete for playing time.
You mentioned realignment. You guys get dropped into District 12 3A Division I with Anahuac, Hardin, Hempstead, Hitchcock, and East Chambers. Your initial reaction, obviously dropping down, it's bizarre to see you guys down in 3A Division I, but your initial reaction to your district draw?
Honestly, I've thought the last 3 realignments we were going Region 4, and we just seem to pull everybody. I think the unluckiest draw, if you want to be in Region 4, is to be anywhere near Lamarque, because poor Hitchcock, they hadn't been in Region 3 since 1987, and I kept telling the coach over there, we're going to pull you into Region 3. We've done it to Sweeney and West Columbia and everybody that we've been around for the last 6 years. So I kind of expect, everybody told us you're going to be Region 4. You're going to be Region 4. Well, I don't, we just kind of have the attitude around here, whatever, just whoever we're playing, put them on the schedule, we'll line up and play. So, obviously Hitchcock is going to be, they're 4 miles down the road. That'll be a nice rivalry for Galveston County. But, we need that because for the first time we're not playing Galveston Ball or Texas City. And it just, they both have enrollments close to 2,000 and we turned in 458. So that's just not really the odds that you want to try to buck. But Hitchcock will be a good rivalry. I know there's some good programs. And, honestly, Greg, Cameron Yo is the king of Region 3. So until somebody knocks them off, they're the king. So we have all the respect for, Cold Springs dropping down. There's some good football, Kirbyville, Rockdale, Franklin. I've had to learn a lot of these and do my homework, but we know that there's going to be good football to be played. So, we're losing a lot. I'd feel a lot better if we had our offensive line from this past year coming back, but we're losing every one of them. So we'll, but our kids are working hard and they know the tradition they always have to uphold with that paw on the side of the helmet.
And I also imagine, not to keep you too long, but I also imagine that just having that stability will be, as good as bringing back a couple starters.
I'm going to tell you the best analogy I can give you is we played the last 3 seasons. It seemed like there was a cloud hanging over us, and especially this last year, it was like there was a thunderstorm. Something was always going on. But the kids, we've worn the same uniforms. Not that makes any difference, I guess, in how you play, but maybe it does. Maybe it's a mindset. The money just wasn't there. Kids have worn the same uniforms for the last 4 years. They know this year they're getting new uniforms. They know that, they're getting washers and dryers and things that when you go into great programs or even the not so great programs across Texas, those things. And when you walk in Lamarque with all that tradition, you would think it should be there, and it wasn't. And that wasn't anybody's fault per se. It was what it was. But I'll say this, and I told the newspaper this when realignment day came. This is going to be the first time in a long time we just get to focus on who we're playing. And I like our chances. Let our kids focus on just playing the guy across from them on that football field, and our kids will go. So it'll be fun. We'll see. We're certainly not out of the woods. Right now, everybody has to reapply for their jobs and apply for jobs. So we're just now getting it started with hiring coaches. Right now, officially, I don't have a coach for Lamarque High School. I'm the only person right now that's employed for Lamarque High School next year. So I've got a lot of work to do in putting together a staff, but that also is a great opportunity to get good people in. And people like to get that Lamarque experience on their resume. That always looks good. I guess now I'm doing a shout out so anybody, if you're a good coach, if you hear this, you just come on and we'll go try to win a ring. But I'm happy for the kids, Greg. They deserve everything that any other student would get, and they do. They play with a lot of pressure around here. There's always that pressure of looking up and seeing those 10 flagpoles on Friday night at Etheridge, and our kids handle it quite well. So I'm looking forward to them, being able to be kids and go have fun and compete and take care of their classwork, and we move on from there.
He is Mike Jackson. I can only speak for Dave Campbell's Texas football, but we are very happy to say that he is still the head coach of the Lamarque Cougars, joining us here on DCTF Live. Coach, I guess congratulations on getting out of part of the woods. I'm sure we'll be talking down the road, and good luck in the coming months.
Greg, hey, again, you guys do a great job. I mean, you really, everything you guys do for Texas high school football is awesome. My only complaint is
here we go. All right, hold on, I'm buckling up.
Go Astros. This whole range of things. You got us at the end last year, but
darn right they did.
I think I told you last summer if we can just keep the Stros 3 to 5 games ahead of you, but you ended up getting us. But I do enjoy seeing you and your wife at all those games. You need to come down to Minute Maid, and we'll take you to a game sometime.
For sure, man. It's a date. There he goes. Coach Jackson, really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Take care.
There he goes, Mike Jackson, head coach of Lamarque. I know he's a Houston guy, so he's a big Astros fan. He's always getting me on Facebook whenever the Astros beat the Rangers.
Yeah, he's coming for you.
I know, but it's been a wild ride for him, and he's a good dude, and he's a great coach, and
it's a heck of a program, man.
It's a proud program, man. I'll tell you, when he said I'd read it. But when he said, we turned in a number of 458, they were 5A a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just I don't know.
Look.
It's a bizarre situation. Obviously, a lot of moving parts, but them getting absorbed by Texas City is ultimately the fact that they're going to have some more stability is good.
The classroom stuff comes first, of course, but as high school football fans, just the sheer idea that Lamarque may not be part of the tradition anymore. Mm-hmm. It's tough to process.
Yeah.
Just, it doesn't seem right without them.
I know, but I'm very glad for him. I'm very glad for his family that they get a little bit of stability, and just it's a bizarre situation that seems to be finally coming to a settle. So
let's hope, man.
That's it. Well, that's going to do it for DCTF Live. Thanks again to Lamarque coach Mike Jackson for joining us here on DCTF Live, and thank you for spending part of your day with us. Remember to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy, and we will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.